Hey beauties, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be doing an almost full face of Esum Cosmetics in celebration of their brand new, revamped, remastered, reimagined brush line. So buckle up buttercup, get you a little snickety snack, a little drinky drink, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button for the algorithm gods, and let's just dive in. Okay, so I will try to remember to leave timestamps down below so you guys can hop around to whatever it is you want to learn about, especially the different products that I'll be showcasing in the video, because I want to share with you guys a little bit about the brand and a little bit more detail about all the products that I'm going to be using. That way it is a helpful video if you do decide that you want to shop Esum and particularly pick up any of the new brushes that they have out here. So I got curious. I was literally laying in bed, minding my business like I always do. And I was thinking about how to structure this video because I didn't know the format that I wanted to do it in. And I started looking on the Esum website just to learn a little bit more about the brand. So it turns out Esum actually was started in 2011 by a makeup artist called Alphonse Weibelt. I believe that's how I pronounce his last name. Damn, I looked this up last night, you guys. I was so prepared. Okay, I was right about the pronunciation. See, I was prepared. And on the site, it does say that their brands really focus on three core areas: versatility, practicality, and being eco-friendly. And in my opinion, I do think that a lot of their products carry those themes, and it shows in the way in which they produce their products, and particularly in which the way their packaging is designed. The other thing too that the website says is that they have a curated collection for both makeup artists and makeup enthusiasts. Now, in my opinion, I do think that they do market more heavily towards makeup artists, but I think that that makes sense for the products that they're producing. But it doesn't mean that you or me as a makeup enthusiast can't use and enjoy their products. And I do think that they have a very curated collection. So one of the things I appreciate about the brand is that they're not a brand that's constantly releasing or re-releasing the exact same things. Is that they have like everything that you would need to do a full face and to still also have fun with their products. So it does give you everything you need in kind of like a one-stop shop place without there being a new release every month. So if you go to the site and you do see that it feels a little bit like on the makeup artistry side and you are just a regular, smegular consumer like me, don't get intimidated. Trust me, it's worth taking a deeper look into it. So I was actually introduced to Esum Cosmetics last year when they released their artistry series. Now, I had seen a lot of creators like posting about it and sharing videos about it, and I think I was most excited about one palette in particular from the line, and that was their number 2 palette, the Intensity palette, which was a sort of all shimmer palette that really like heavily focused on neutrals. And I just thought that this was like stunning. I thought that it was so beautiful and I loved the layout of it. Again, going back to the practicality and versatility and design of their products, right? So each column has a light, medium, dark, and I think that they covered the entire spectrum of neutrals that someone would need. So cool tones, warm tones, gold, silver, and then sort of like purple, mauve leaning tones, which is everything that you need to create a neutral leaning look. And I love the fact that they were able to give us so many shimmers in a very small, very compact palette. When you look at the design of Esum products, first and foremost, very sleek, very easy to travel with, and it comes in this sort of clear packaging that slips over it, that still allows you to see the products and understand exactly what it is that you have. Each of the shades in this palette too are magnetic, so you can pop it out, you can rearrange it to get the configuration that you want. Did I just dig into a little bit? Okay. Now, in the artistry series, or like the first release, there were a couple of products that they actually came up with. First and foremost, it was this all shimmer palette that I just showed you guys. This is the one that I fell in love with. Then there was a companion all matte palette. And lastly, 2 face palettes. One that they called the Shaper palette, which was really focused on sort of like bronzy, contoury shades, and then the blush palette. So these were the 4 products that they came up with. Now, I will be very frank, these are not cheap. I believe each of the face palettes retail for about $80. The all matte palette is also an $80 palette, and then the all shimmer palette is $120. So it was a lot for me to stomach initially in terms of the price. But now, having owned all of these palettes and having bought all of these palettes on my own, I get it. I get it. And I can't even be mad at it. And I would pay the price all over again. Just saying. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to pay the price, but just saying that I don't regret paying for this at all. Just saying. Now, going back to the practicality in terms of the design of these products, I thought that it was really smart in the way in which they produce this, because yes, this is an all matte palette. Yes, this is an all shimmer palette. But like I said, each of these shades or the palettes, the shades can be popped out. So you can actually configure this however you want. So if you are traveling for a specific event and you want to have a specific collection of shades, you can pop out and design the palette to your liking. So you can have half mattes, half shimmers, 3 mattes, the rest shimmers, whatever it is you want to do, so that you don't have to travel with all of the products at the exact same time. The same thing with the Accentuate palette. So this is also one in which you can pop out the shades. So if you were traveling, you could pick the blush shades that you wanted, pick the bronzer shades that you needed, and create your own palette or your own color story. Now, after I had purchased the all shimmer palette, which again, this was the one that caught my eyes, I felt like my eyes opened, and then I became basically Ash from Pokemon. I had to collect them all. So the next palette that I ended up picking up was the all shimmer colorful palette. This I thought was a really great addition to the Esum lineup. So again, giving you the option to mix and match and have a little bit more fun with this, but with the wearable formula. One thing to note about the Esum formula is that it is very different, in my opinion, from like indie shimmers. If you're used to indie shimmers and you want that super high, I wouldn't say like crazy sparkle, but if you want that extremely textured type of look, I don't necessarily think that you're going to get it from this palette. What I like about the Esum shades though is that I think that they are versatile in that they work for all skin types, and that is something that I think a lot of indie brands lack. I find that when it comes to indie shadows, sometimes they're too creamy, sometimes the shimmer formulas don't necessarily work well on people with oily lids or textured lids, and that can be a problem. And I think the formulation of the Esum palettes allow you to use it on multiple different skin tones, different skin types. And as you can see from the look that I'm wearing right now, this is pretty high impact. It's very high shine, but if you wanted to, you could get a much softer look with the Esum palettes, which is what I appreciate. And I think that all of these shades apply so well onto the lids. Now, after I had picked up all of those products, so everything that you've seen thus far are products that I picked up and I purchased on my own. The brand actually reached out and offered to send me a couple of products. And since then, I've gotten a few things from them in PR. Not their entire line, not everything that they have to offer, but they have sent me a few things, and I am unbelievably grateful. You guys don't understand. I am nobody. Like, I am so small, but I genuinely love the Esum products, and the fact that they were like, you like our products, can we send you a few things? It means a lot to me, and they don't have to, because I would buy them on my own. Clearly I have, and I will continue to buy from them. So I think the first two things that they actually sent me was their liquid eyeliner and their mascara. So I've used up the liquid liner, and it is nice, but I will say it's not my favorite like liner formula, and I also have a hard time spending a ton of money for liners. And then I still have the mascara. I'm like scraping the edges. It is actually really good. But I also have a hard time spending a lot of money for mascaras. When it comes to liquid liners and it comes to mascaras, I think those are the products that you can cheap out on the most and get them at like the drugstore, if I'm being honest. So just something to be mindful of. But then what they sent me after was their lip palette. So this is a ton of different liquid lipsticks. Well, I guess you can't call them liquid lipsticks, like cream lipsticks, I should say. So it's a cream lipstick formula in a palette format. Now, obviously, if you are a regular consumer, this might not be the best for you because you don't necessarily want to have to then get a brush to apply your lipstick. But again, this is a predominantly makeup artist brand, so it makes sense for makeup artists who are applying on multiple clients. But it also could make sense for general consumer if you are traveling and you want to have multiple lipsticks without having to pack multiple lipsticks. Because again, this is a very sleek design, and one thing you'll notice about all of the products that I've shown you is that they all come in the exact same compact. So you can pop out the liquid lipstick shades here, the cream lipstick shades here from this as well, and mix and match again, you guys. You can mix and match. And they all have the exact same size. They all have the exact same packaging. So Just something to be mindful of in terms of if you travel a lot and you want a travel-friendly collection. Now, in the past couple of months, it seems like the brand has been going through a little bit of a redesign, and they've been reformulating or remastering a couple of their products. And it actually started with their pencil duos. So in terms of their pencils, they offer eyeliner pencils and lip liner pencils, and all of them are in a duo format. So you actually get 2 shades, 2 colors for the price of 1. I actually do have a couple of their lip liners and their eyeliners from the previous collection before they remastered it. And after they remastered it, they actually sent me a couple in the new formula. So in the demo for this video, you'll see me apply this new formula. And honestly, let me just say these are much creamier, much softer, much better to apply. I was really surprised because it was my first time trying it. Even though I've had this for a couple months, I just hadn't had a chance to use it yet. So I do think that this new formulation is much better than the older one. So if you have the old one and you were curious as to whether or not it makes sense to pick up the new one, honestly, it might. It might, because I really enjoyed using this. I have been using my old ones because I have them. But now that I have this one, I'm like, damn, what am I going to do with this old ones? Because you definitely feel the difference in the creaminess of the new formulation. And that brings us to the brush collection. So like I said, they've been going through this sort of remastering process. So they've actually remastered or reimagined or redesigned their brush collection and added 12 new brushes. So the brand actually sent me 6 of the 12 brushes. So for today's video, I will be demoing those for you guys so you can see what they look like. And I'll also be giving you a little bit of details in terms of the different brushes that I have, what they're intended to do, the price, all that fun jazz. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, one thing I will say about Esum that I find really enjoyable is a little bit of the emphasis on, to me it seems like education and learning the artistry piece of makeup application. So with the brushes, they also provided me a book about the brushes, and honestly I appreciate the level of detail that was put into describing each of the brushes and how they're meant to be applied, because as someone who has no formal training, I personally find a lot of this helpful. If you are a makeup artist, it might be a little bit redundant. And yes, we know, like, use it however you want to use it, but I like the kind of like education and learning aspect of this as well. Now, generically speaking, the Esum collection has 38 premium brushes, and like I mentioned, 12 of the brushes are brand new. I have one of the old Esum brushes, and as you can probably tell just from looking at it compared to the old one, compared to the new ones, you can probably see just off the bat that one of the major changes that they did was the actual sort of design and color of it. So the old brushes had this sort of silver design running through it, whereas this new one, you have a black handle and a silver ferrule, and then you have the brush, the bristles up top. Also, like, just to be clear, they didn't ask me to create a video on this. I'm doing this because I genuinely like their products. There's no obligation for me to post about any of this whatsoever. So this is not sponsored, anything. I just really like the brand and wanted to do a full collection because I pretty much have everything. So like I said, the collection features 38 premium brushes. All of the brushes are handcrafted, and they offer a mixture of natural hair and synthetic fibers. The ferrule of all of the brushes are a platinum rolled brass, and the handle is cured birchwood. And the brushes are labeled on the handle with a letter which indicates what type of hair or what type of bristle is used. So like I said, they have synthetic and they have natural hair fibers. The synthetic fibers actually are of 2 varieties, Taklon and Vexlon. And then for the natural hair fibers, you have the option of soft goat, extra fine goat, goat, weasel or sable, or badger. So on the handles, you'll see S for soft goat, X for extra fine goat, G for just goat hair, W for weasel or sable, and B for badger. And then either T or V for the Taklon or Vexlon, which are the synthetic fibers. So let me tell you a little bit about the 6 brushes that they sent me. First, they sent me the Esum T05. This is their square liner brush. It retails for $20, and it's a short, square, flat tool for the press-push eyeliner technique. It's excellent for cleaning around the edges of wings and lips, and it's handcrafted with smooth Taklon fibers and suitable for cream and gel makeup mediums. Next, they sent me the Esum T11 Mascara Fan Brush. It's a small, flat fan brush designed for mascara application, lash separation, and elongation. Perfect for blending natural lashes into false lashes and coating bottom lashes. Handcrafted with smooth Taklon and stiff nylon fibers at the base for a controlled application. Suitable for cream and gel mascara formulas, and retails for $16. Next, they sent me the Esum V09. This is the liner diffuser brush, an extra small oval domed shaped brush, perfect for detail shading along the lash line, smudging eyeliner, and highlighting the inner eye. This brush is handcrafted with extra soft Vexlan fibers, suitable for powder and cream makeup mediums, and retails for $18. Next, they sent me the Esum G26 Shadow Blending Brush, a medium oval domed fluffy brush perfect for shading and blending eye makeup. Handcrafted with textured goat hair and ideal for powder and cream makeup mediums, and it retails for $26. Next, they sent me the Esum S31, the small tapered eye brush, a small round tapered brush designed for detailed crease work, shading, and under eye diffusion. Handcrafted with soft goat hair and suitable for powder mediums, and it retails for $28. And lastly, they sent me the Esum V48 foundation brush. It's a medium oval tapered brush designed for foundation application, handcrafted with extra soft Vexlan fibers, and it's ideal for liquid and cream makeup mediums, and it retails for $36. Okay, so now that you guys have seen the brushes, I try to make sure I insert some B-roll of the brushes before I dirty them up with my application and outside in natural light so you can see what the fibers look like, get a sense for the density as I run my fingers through it. Let's dive into the demo. I'm going to use all of the Esum products that I have, well, most of them, to do this almost full face, and then I'll come back at the end to give you guys my final thoughts. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and carve out my eyebrows. This is what I typically do off camera. I usually come up with my brows done, but because I'm demoing the brushes for you guys today, we're starting with the T05 brush. It's the square liner brush. It is synthetic fibers, and basically it's one of just like a square, very, very thin brush. Something that I would use to carve out my brows from my collection already. Okay. See, precision, man. When it comes to carving out my brows, I don't do anything extremely harsh. I literally just go in with a little bit of concealer. I'm actually using my Beauty concealer. I take my brush, I just kind of like tap it onto the concealer, and then I just create a very, very thin line. Just following the natural shape of my brows. And then once I've gotten that sort of shape, I'm just dragging the concealer down, kind of blending it in. Like, the goal here isn't to create something that's super bright. It's really just to clean it up. This is actually the shade 300. So I'm not using a really, really stark concealer for this. It's typically one that is relatively close to my skin tone. And then I take it and just kind of run it over the top part. Again, just really kind of cleaning things up, not adding any more product. And that's it. Brows are carved off, cleaned up, and that's pretty much it. I want to show you guys what I would typically use from my collection already. So this is the T05. I would go in with a brush kind of like this. Sorry, this one's dirty. This is an old, it's not old, but it is a Bobbi Brown brush. I also have used and have a number of these brushes from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So this is typically the shape that I go for. It's a little bit more rounded at the top. But I'm not mad at the Esum one because it is really thin, which I think allows me to be a little bit more precise. As you can see, the Bobbi Brown and the Anastasia ones are a little bit thicker. So they, you know, pick up more product, but this one is definitely gonna allow you to be more precise and pick up less product. Okay, next we're gonna do eyeshadow. That's typically the second part of my routine. I'm actually gonna go in with the Hydro Grip Primer. Typically, I would actually use concealer on my lids, but I've been loving this primer lately because I've been doing a lot of one and done type of shades, and this, I'm gonna do something very similar, something very simple for today, and this is just like a really nice, good gripping primer. It doesn't do anything to clear up the discoloration in my lids. So when I typically come and do these videos for you guys, you see me with my lids kind of like as a blank slate. So now you're actually seeing the discoloration that I have on my lids. My lids are definitely darker than the rest of my face. So I like going in with concealer because it helps even out the color. But you don't have to, you know? That is totally a by choice thing. For the eyes, I'm going to actually focus on two palettes. The All Matte palette, which is Balance. This is the neutral one. And then the All Shimmer Neutral palette, which is number 2, Intensity. So this is what I'm going to play in today. And again, I'm going to keep it very, very simple, you guys. So to apply the shadow, I'm going to go in with the G number 26 brush. This is Goat Hair, and it's their shadow blending brush. I think I'm just going to do 2 shades today. I really don't know why, but I want a cool tone look. So I'm going to go in with this deep cool toned neutral brownish shade. And I'm actually going to start by putting that into the outer part of the eye here. The Milk Hydrated Grip Primer is very similar to the actual face primer in that it has a bit of a tacky texture, which I think is great because it helps the shadows really stick to the lids and it helps reduce the amount of fallout that you get from it. Okay, so I think I said this would be like a one and done look. It's actually going to be closer to like a 2. It's going to be 3 shades. Look at me just adding the number of shades. Sorry, guys. You know me. You know how we do here. So just packing that on. And I kind of want this to cover the entire second or latter half of the eyelid. This is really pretty, and this actually would be a really cool one and done shade. So this is their shadow blending brush, and I really like the shape of this. It reminds me of the Refa number 1. So it's good for packing on shadow, but also like blending out the edges. And because this is goat hair, it is pretty soft on the lids. And then I'm just going to flip the brush over to the clean side, and I'm going to go into the shade directly above that cool tone shade. So this is a much lighter, much icier shade. And I'm going to put that into the first half of the eye and then just really just blend it into that second shade. Per usual, we're trying to create a bit of a gradient here. This brush is doing a really, really good job at getting into the innermost parts of the eye so I can really cover my entire lid. Okay, now that I have the 2 shades laid down, I'm sorry, I need to wash this. I'm actually just going to wipe the brush off onto my Sonia G cloth, which is, you know, specifically designed for that type of like in-between application cleaning, so that I get this a little bit cleaner because I really need to like blend these 2 shades together so I have a little bit more of a seamless gradient. And what I am going to do is I'm going to go back into the darker shade of the 2 that I applied and just kind of like tap it over where those 2 shades meet so that we can get a more beautiful blend so it's not like a harsh line. Okay, so this is what the eyes are looking like. I am going to go in with a little bit of matte shadows just to kind of blend out the edges of the shimmer shades. So I'm going to go into the number 1 palette, Balance, and I'm actually going to take the S31 brush. This is the small tapered eye brush, and the S means that it's made with soft goat hair. So it's very, very tiny, very, very detailed, so perfect for crease work. So I'm actually just going to dip into these 2 shades and mix those together and just kind of like run it above the shimmer shades so that I can blend them together and I have a little bit more of a seamless transition. And then taking the same brush, going into the darker brown, I'm just gonna add a little bit of depth into this outer part of the eye here. And if you're keeping count, I know I said 3 shades. I think we're at 5 now. Let it go. Let it go, you guys. This is also a really good size for diffusing under the eye, which we will probably come back and do at the end. Okay, this is what the eyes are looking like. Let me just quickly add some liner and then we'll get started on the rest of the face. Okay, so I zoomed you guys out a little bit. Just for context, I went in with my Sephora brush tip liquid liner. Esum does have a liquid liner and they did send it to me like a year ago, but it's been long finished and it's a nice product, but it actually might be my least favorite thing from them. And it's not because it's bad, I just think that liquid liners all kind of do the same thing. It takes a lot for me to be impressed by a liquid liner. So if you're looking for which product to get from them. That wouldn't necessarily be my first recommendation. But I just wanted to flag that I did have it. I used it up. So obviously I liked it enough to keep using it. So for my primer, I'm going to go in with the What's Up Beauty Positivity Hydrating Primer. This is new from the brand, and I've been loving this lately, which is quite surprising to me because hydrating primers are primers that I typically tend to stay away from because of the fact that I have more oily leaning skin. So I try to go for more mattifying products, but I find that this doesn't leave me oily. And it really does blend very, very nicely into the skin, and I think has a little bit of a blurring effect, so it does create a very nice base for makeup in my opinion. So definitely recommend you check this one out, even if you have oily skin and you're a little bit scared about the fact that it says that it's hydrating. Now, I've been dealing with a lot of discoloration lately from some old acne scars. I had like a really bad flare-up of my cystic acne, so I have just some hyperpigmentation. So I'm just taking the same concealer that I used to carve out my brows, and I'm just gonna apply a little bit of that onto where I need it, particularly around my chin area, going in with my very, very dirty Sonia G brush, and I'm just gonna blend that in to the skin so that we have a little bit of concealing going on before I go in with my foundation. And today I'm actually going to use a skin tint instead of a foundation. I'm saying today like it's not what I've been using for the last like 2, maybe 3 weeks. I've been in my skin tint era, you guys, like, and I've been loving it. Even though my skin is like, you know, there's a lot of discoloration and acne scars, I've still been liking the lighter coverage of a skin tint for me right now. And for my skin tint, I'm going to go in with the Fenty Ease Drops. I'm kind of hoping to finish this out. Fun fact, I didn't love this when it first came out, but it's all I've been using pretty much the entire summer. So just adding a little bit of that all over the face. And then I'm going to go in with the foundation brush. There's actually 2 foundation brushes. There's an angled foundation brush, and then there's this one, which they just call the foundation brush. It's V48. So the V means that these are synthetic fibers. This is the Vexlon fiber, which is like the extra fine synthetic fiber. So this is not typically the brush shape that I would go for. Quite frankly, I would have preferred the angled foundation brush because that is more my vibe. For example, like this is like a foundation brush that I've used, or this one from the Rare Beauty lineup. See, very, very angled. And if it's not angled, then I typically go for something that is a domed shape. So this is a really old foundation brush, probably one of the oldest in my collection from Tarte, because I don't even shop from Tarte anymore. But this is one of those kind of like domed head foundation brushes. So this is a different shape for me. It's more flat. It's like a paddle shape. But yeah, let's see how it applies. So I've had the skin tint on my face, and I'm just gonna go in with the brush. Oh, I forgot to spray it. Typically, I like to spray my brushes with some setting spray. I don't know why, it's just a thing that I do. But I'm just going in without spraying. You know what? I'm not mad at this application. Oh, and it gets real nice and up in there. Okay. This is also like applying and spreading really quickly. No, I'm not gonna get full coverage or opacity because this is a skin tint, so you guys will see my hypopigmentation peeking through, so just FYI. But this is applying really nice. Like, it's not streaky at all. I kind of still want the angled brush though. And one thing to note about the angle brush is that it's actually in their T series. So it is still a synthetic fiber, but it's their Taclon fibers, which is the smooth fibers. So V is Vexlon, which is extra fine, and Taclon is smooth. I love that I get to learn with this brand because they really do give you all of the details that you might want to know. Okay, that was it. Quick and easy. And honestly, I just want to show you guys the brush because I don't think it soaked up much product at all, really. Like, obviously it's stained from the foundation, but I don't think it soaked up any products. Huh. Not bad at all. Now I am going to do a little bit of concealing. I don't do much because I like kind of like a lighter look in the summertime, but you guys know I do have that hypopigmentation under my eyes, so it is like oddly light in certain areas. So I just like to take a little bit of concealer, one that is like pretty close to my skin tone, and just apply it to those areas so that I can help even that out. So I'm still using the Win Beauty Concealer. That has been my go-to of late, and my dirty Sonia G brush, which I definitely need to wash this weekend. And then I'm just gonna use that to conceal my under eye, my forehead, and then like my underneath my chin. And this is really more, as you can see, to even out the skin tone and fill in where there's that hypopigmentation. So I'm always dealing with a mix of hyper and hypopigmentation. The hypopigmentation comes from like all of the scarring that my cystic acne has left, which it seems to have been clearing up lately. I don't know if it's because, I don't know what caused the flare-ups. Like, I know that I've had some when I really indulge in dairy because I'm lactose intolerant plus very sensitive to it when it comes to my acne. And I just haven't been eating well for the last couple of weeks. It's been summertime, my family's been here, we've been going out more often, which is great because I love spending time with them, but you know, also like not necessarily great for the body. But I've had a huge like influx of like just all my acne tends to concentrate right in this region. So been doing a lot to like get it back up together, making sure that I'm using all of my prescription medications. Okay, so once my concealer is in, I do like to go back over it with my foundation brush, particularly around the edges. So you see where this kind of like stops? I just like to blend it out so that it's not those harsh lines. Okay, now to set it, I'm gonna go in with my tried and true. Honestly, this is probably the best translucent powder. Well, Dimmer Blend is a really good one, but this is the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. Like, this is a cult favorite for a reason. Like, it is so good at just setting things down, adding like a hint of brightness where it's super natural and you don't get that crazy flashback from cameras. And it's so fine, you guys, just so fine. Just applies really well. They really slapped when they came out with this one. So this is just the translucent shade, and I'm going to use that, and I'm using it to basically set all of the places where I have concealer, plus where I get particularly oily. So if you can tell, I'm literally just kind of running it down my T-zone. So in the center of the forehead here, and then bringing it down over my nose, because my nose does tend to get really oily, kind of making sure I get into those crevices there, spreading it out where I had the concealer in the under eye, going around the mouth and my chin area. And this is just a regular Fantasy Cosmetica brush. Y'all, honestly, in terms of the indie brands that have released brushes, I think Fantasy Cosmetica has had my favorite line of brushes. So if you're curious and you're interested in some brushes, but you want it from the indie market, check out Fantasy Cosmetica. Next, I'm gonna set my entire face with my Sephora Micro Smooth powder. This is in the shade Toffee, and I'm going in with my Orange Units brush. This is from Beautylish. This is Beautylish's line. This is number 302. It's just a big, fluffy powder brush, and I'm just gonna swirl that around my entire face. Okay, so next up for me is bronzer. So I love a good powder bronzer. Quite frankly, I prefer powder bronzers or powder products overall. So this is the Shape Up palette from Esum. Now, I fully recognize that this is kind of light, and also a lot of these shades aren't necessarily going to work for my complexion. And that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, that this is a makeup artistry brand. A lot of their products are geared towards makeup artists who have clients or who have a more diverse clientele with different skin tones and would need all of these shades. I just kind of wanted the entire lineup, which is why I purchased this. You definitely don't need to pick up this product if you know you're not going to use all of it. So this kind of first half definitely runs really light, and it's not even something that I could technically use as like an under eye brightener because this is intended to be contour bronzy. So it does have a cooler undertone, which is not what I'm going for in my under eye area. Now, to apply this, I'm going to go in with my number 50 brush. This is from the Sephora lineup. This is my typical, like, bronzer type of brush in terms of the shape that I like, where it is like pretty tapered up here and on the thinner side, but still very, very fluffy, so it does diffuse out really well. Now I want to see which one of these might actually work for me, so I kind of want to start with the second to last. Actually, this is brand new, just fun fact, I've never actually used this. I bought this, it was in my basket of shame. So I'm trying to go through it, okay? So I'm gonna take the second to last option. Got a little bit there. Okay. Very, very light. It's kinda showing up, but not really, if we're being honest. Again, I fully picked this up knowing that this was not necessarily going to be a product where I could use every single shade. It's very, very subtle. Not mad at it though, because it is building. That being said, let's go in with the darkest shade. There we go. And if you know me, you know that I'm not a big one for extremely red bronzers. I prefer something that has a little bit more of a neutral undertone, because I don't like to look like I've been like burnt, you know? And I want something that's just a little bit more natural, which to me is the vibe that I get from Esum generally. And now I'm just kind of like swirling these two together. I just feel like overall Esum gives me a more natural, soft, everyday wearable kind of glam vibe. Okay, now that bronze is applied, we're gonna go into the blush palette. This is the Accentuate palette, and this is just so stunning. Now, where the bronzer palette slash shaper palette falls short because of the fact that, you know, I only have one skin tone. Well, you know, two if you count my like winter and summer shades. But where it kind of falls short in that I know I won't need all of this, I think a blush palette like this is really great because you can always mix and match blushes, right? So you can mix the lights and the darker shades to get the right depth that you want. You can mix the colors to create a completely new color, so that when you're traveling, instead of having to pack a bunch of different blushes, you can literally just pack this and you have like an infinite number of blushes because you can mix and match these together. So I really like the blush palette a lot. So I'm actually going to, let's see. I cannot just run my brush down it, but let's actually just start with the shade here, the one right in the center. Ooh, beautiful pink shade. And I'm using the number 93 brush. This is a Sephora brush. And we're just gonna, oh, that's a cute one. It is a little light for me though. So it's a beautiful pink shade, which it looks like it is kind of on the cool tone side, which is good because this is a cool tone look and I don't want to do like the orangey shades in this palette because I'm rocking a cool tone look. Now, I think what I'm going to have to end up doing is mixing it in with this deeper kind of like purple so that we can get, yeah, this is definitely better for my like complexion. Now, I am not a heavy blush type of gal, or I try not to be. Like, blush isn't my favorite step in a routine, you know? The one thing I will say that this blush palette lacks, in case you are like interested in it, is the fact that these blushes are all matte. So if you prefer having a more shimmery blush, you might not like this one because of the fact that it's a matte blush palette. So if you like your blush to have a little bit more glow to it, may not be the one for you. And what I like to do when I've applied way too much blush, or just in general, is then I like to take my powder brush, and just kind of like go over to help soften things up. I don't have a highlighter from the brand, so I'm just gonna go in with Divine Rose from Pat McGrath. And this is just a dollar brush from Shop Missy. I like to take a little bit. This is again another dollar brush from Shop Missy. When I tell you guys I have like expensive plush tea products, like I will buy the Sonia G brushes or the Esum brushes, but I'll also spend $1 on a brush from Shop Missy and Wet n Wild. So don't get it twisted now. I go both ways. Just in that regard. Just to clarify. Okay, so we actually have 2 brushes left from what they sent me, or from the set that I was given, that we haven't used. So the first one is T11. And this is the one brush that I'm not going to use today, because the way this is described is that it's meant for mascara application. So this is what a makeup artist would use to apply mascara to their clients, because obviously if you're working with clients, you're not like dipping the same mascara, you know, brush back in and applying it. So this is one that I don't think I would ever really use. But the last one that we have is V09, and this is another synthetic brush, and it's very, very firm, very, very dense. So this is what I'm actually going to use to apply shadow to the lower lash line. So I'm just bringing you guys back in, and I'm actually going to take the shimmer shade that I use for the outer parts of the eye, and I'm going to pick a little bit of that up on the brush, and I'm going to apply that to the inner part of the eye. What I like about the shimmers from the Esum palettes is that they're so nice, you could actually use them as mattes. Like, they blend out really well. So I want to take a little bit of that and apply that to the inner part of the eye. And this, because it is the Vexlon synthetic fibers, it can work for both cream and powder products. And it actually is called the liner diffuser brush. Quite frankly, I think if you wanted to, and you could probably use this to create like a faux wing kind of situation with your like your eyeshadows. So I'm actually just going in with the matte deep brown for the outer part of the eye here. And I'm doing this very, very lightly because I also kind of want to go over this waterline with a pencil. So a couple of months earlier, Esum also reformulated their dual pencils. So they have a line of lip and eye pencils that are two-sided. So you get one that's a little bit that's matte and the other that's shimmery. So they sent me, what's this, 5 of the pencils. Let me figure out which one of these are the eyes, because some of these are eyes, some of these are lips. Quite frankly, if it's yours, do whatever you want with it, but let me just make sure that I have the right ones. And I do have the old formula, which I purchased for myself. So I haven't compared both of these yet, but I have the old formula and now I have the new one. Okay, so these are the lip pencils. We'll get to applying that. So I have 2 of the eye pencils. So this one is the navy and silver. So you get navy. Oh, that's real pretty. And then, ooh, beautiful shimmery silver. That is lovely. That would be good for, and those are creamy. Okay. Sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought. And then we have black. Oh, that is a black. And diamond, which I think is more of a gold. Wait. Huh. It's not really silver, but it's not really gold either. I guess it's like whitish. That's a very interesting shade. I thought I had like straight up brown. And honestly, these are creamier than the old ones. Because I have swatched the old ones and I have applied the old ones to my lids. And they're definitely not as creamy as this. So very excited about this. My first time trying this, you guys, even though I've had this sitting for months. And these are made in Germany, in case you were curious. So I'm going to use the black and diamond pencil. I'm actually going to start off with the black. I'm going to take a little bit of that and then just kind of run it along the outer part of the eye here. Oh, very quick and easy application. Yeah, this is definitely an improvement from the old pencils. And then flipping it over, I'm going to take that diamond shade and run it along the inner part of the eye here. See how that brightened it up compared to this one? Okay, so I also have the Esum mascara. They sent me this a couple of months ago when they sent me the Esum eyeliner. And I really like this mascara. Like, full transparency, I've been using this for some months now, so much so that it's pretty much done. But I pulled it out and I'm scraping out the edges just to try to apply some in this video for you guys. Now, this is a really, really nice mascara. I really enjoyed it. But you guys know I'm always going to be very, very transparent and 100% honest with you all. I have a hard time spending more than like $10 for a mascara. So even though I think that this is lovely, and I think that if you want to spend the money, you're not going to hate this, you're actually going to like it a lot. I personally think you could also get a really good mascara at the drugstore for cheaper. So there are certain products where I feel like it makes sense to spend the extra money on, like foundation, like eyeshadow, you know, complexion products particularly. But then there are also like products that I don't think that it's necessarily worth it to spend a ton of money on, like liquid eyeliner and mascara. Now, in terms of pencil liners, I do see the value in spending a little bit more money on them, because if you're going to use it to apply it to the eye area, a really bad pencil can be very harsh and you can find yourself dragging and tugging on the eyelids, which, let's be honest, that is a very sensitive part of your face. You know, the skin there is super thin and you don't want something that's so dry that you're like literally pulling your skin. So I feel like that you can also spend a little bit extra money on. So this, you know, the Esum liners, I get it, but mascara and liquid liner, I think drugstore options work fine. Okay, now let me just come in closely so you guys can see. This is my eyes with the mascara. This is it without. And this is like that one, I would say like 2 coats. It's really nice, right? And you guys know I don't wear lashes. So for me, having a good mascara is really important because I'm not applying false lashes. I tried and I've done it before and I just don't like it. I find them to be quite irritating and my eyes just don't want any of that. So, okay, let me pay attention before I poke my eyes out. Okay, so we have 2 more products to apply and then we're done with this full face. So first up, the lip liner. And like I said, I have 3 of the new remastered lip liners and then the lipstick. So again, being a makeup artistry brand, Esum's lipsticks are in this sort of palette format, which makes sense if you're applying on clients. But I understand as like a regular, smegular consumer, this might not be for everybody. Like, I fully respect that because, to be quite frank, I don't want to have to use a lip brush to apply my lipstick. But if you are traveling and you don't want to have to carry a ton of lipsticks, this is a really good option. Esum is literally the perfect brand for travelers. And I guess that makes sense because makeup artists are always traveling. So like, or more often than not, they're traveling to their clients. So it makes sense in the grand scheme of things. So I have 3 of the lip liners. Let me swatch for you guys so you guys can see what these shades look like. First up, we have number 3, which I think is a mix of like a red and a peachy shade. So we have, yep, that's red. Well, no, it's kind of like a nude mauve shade. Might be a little bit light for me, if I'm being honest. Then we have this one being my favorite. This is the number 2 pencil. So we have an orange and a nude. Orange, nude. And then the last one is probably the one that I'll get a lot of use out of. It's a deep brown and then a lighter brown. So that is pretty. Yeah. So like nude and a deep brown. As you can see, each one of these is like light and dark, and the light ones are definitely not necessarily the best for my complexion, but 2 lipsticks, 2 lip liners, I'm not mad at it, if we're being honest. So I'm gonna go in with the deep brown because that is what I think looks best with this look. Oh, that's so pretty. And it went on so smooth. Oh, I'm already obsessed. Okay, and for the lip palette, when they actually sent it to me, they did send me the lip brush from their line. So you guys can see what the old brushes used to look like. They had this sort of silver handle. Now they've kind of upgraded it to this much more, I think, modern, sleek, black silver than the all silver design. Now this is W19. I know that with the remastering, they just kind of like redid the brushes that they already had. So I don't think that this has changed in this sort of new release. And from looking at their brush breakdown, W stands for weasel or sable. So I'm assuming that this is made with weasel hair. Okay, now let's figure out. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go in with this deep brown shade. I've played in this column before, but this is stunning. And one thing about a lip brush is that it takes like 3 times as long to apply. Well, for me, because I'm like not a makeup artist and I'm flying by the seat of my pants. Ooh. Okay, it's giving rich, it's giving goth a little bit, but I'm not mad at this. I like this. Okay, let me go ahead, brush my hair, fix the rest of my face, well, set the rest of my face, and then I'll come back, show you guys the final look, and let's talk about it. Okay, so I'm back. I threw on my little like teardrop style earrings from a local Philly not makeup, jewelry designer. Freebird. I'll try to remember to link it down below. Anyways, let's talk about it. I had a lot of fun playing with these brushes. I definitely think that I'm gonna get a lot of use out of them, and they make a lot of sense in my collection. And when it comes to Esum products in general, I do think that they put a very heavy focus on functionality and creating products that work and that are useful, even for someone that is simply a makeup enthusiast. I know I talk about this a lot in terms of their brand being specifically geared towards makeup artists and it being a makeup artistry brand. But I do think even if you are a regular, smegular consumer who just loves makeup, you're a makeup enthusiast, you don't have any real formal training, that there is a lot of value in trying out their products, because I think that they offer something that's so like unique and different, and I enjoy having it in my collection. So much so that even though I have been sent products by the brand, like the vast majority of what I have is what I purchased on my own and what I continue to use and what I reach for when I'm not filming. So in my collection, you know, there are a number of products that I have that I do reviews on for you guys, but when I'm off camera, there are certain products that I continue to use all the time that you guys don't see me like share continuously, but I'm using it all the time. And specifically my Esum products have been really integral into my collection because of how travel friendly they are. And because my job required a lot of travel, I wanted something that was compact, easy to work with, and gave me a lot of options, which is what I feel like I get from their products in general. Now for the remastered and the reformulated brushes, very excited about this. Now I'm kind of curious and I want to try a little bit more. I have never been a brush girl in terms of like being one to do the research and understand how brushes are made and what fibers are being used. Like I've been like, to be quite frank, one of those that's like bare minimum, is this synthetic, is this natural? But I really enjoyed going through the Esum website as well as going through the booklet that they provided and understanding a little bit more about the brushes, what they're designed to be used for, the different types of fibers that they actually incorporate into their brushes, etc. And that's been a lot of fun for me. And in terms of the functionality of these brushes, all of them worked really well. So just to go through on a like individual one-by-one basis, I'm just gonna start with the lip brush, kind of working backwards, because this was the last one that I used. This was obviously from their old collection, and I wonder if it's gonna be the same with the new, but maybe just like a sleeker design. But this is the lip pencil, the lip brush. I really like it. I think it worked well to apply my lipstick. I wonder if I would have preferred, no, I know. It might have been nice to have something that was a little bit bigger though, because this is so thin and so small that it does take a little bit longer to apply makeup. So it probably makes sense for a makeup artist who needs to be a little bit more precise, but I'm kind of messy and I wanted something that was like slightly bigger so that I could apply my lipstick quicker. Then we have the foundation brush. This I loved way more than I thought I would for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, this is really small and sleek, and a lot of my foundation brushes tend to be somewhat larger or significantly larger in my opinion than this. Again, going back to a couple examples in terms of the other brushes that I use, but I like that because one, it makes this so much easier to travel with. Again, always thinking about the traveling, but it applied the foundation still very quickly. I feel like I expected it to take a little bit longer because of how small this is, but it applied so well. There were no streaks. It blended into the skin really nicely. And what I appreciate the most about this is how little to no product actually was soaked up by this brush. Like the brush did an amazing job of just applying the foundation, getting it into the skin without soaking up product. As you can probably tell from this brush, which is just a cheap Morphe brush from way back in the way back, there's a lot of product and gunk built up in there, because I think it soaks up, the bristles in that soak up the product a lot, and those are actually very harsh on the skin. I'm not gonna lie, that shit was hard on my skin, but I kept it because I was running out of brushes. But that is one of the brushes that I have in my like declutter pile. But this was soft. Even though these are synthetic fibers, this was extremely soft on my skin and I loved that. Next we have this eyeshadow brush. I loved how this performed as well. Now this is very, very stiff in terms of like the density of it. But because they used the extra soft goat hairs, because this is an S brush, I felt like despite it being a little bit on the dense side, it was still extremely soft. This is going to be really good if you just want to like pack on products on the edge. If you want to be a little bit more precise, I love the size of this for like the precision aspect of it, without it being so like dense that it's actually harsh on the lid, which some other brushes can be. So it's really good if you want to do crease work, get some precision in there, even just like applying or like building up the outer corner of the eyes. I really like this one as well. Had a lot of fun with it. This one, which is sort of that dense liner brush, really good again for that sort of precision. So if you want to smudge out the waterline, if you want to create like a 4-wing liner using your eyeshadow, can also use this as well. And even though this is a synthetic brush, I didn't find it to be particularly harsh in that under eye area, which is really important because that's where you're like super sensitive. At least that's how it is for me. Performed so well. I think this might be my favorite brush though. This is, wait, no, I think the foundation brush is my favorite. And this is a close second. Maybe they're tied for first. This is the G26. So this is the shadow blending brush. And I think this is my favorite because of the versatility of this brush. This is going to be perfect for those one and done shades. And this is one of those brushes that works well to apply shimmer onto the lid, but also to blend it out. Now, a lot of brushes don't do that. And I am someone that's coming around to wanting brushes to be a little bit more versatile. Like I'm used to having the blending brush, which is what you go in with your mattes. It's just kind of like blend things out. And then you have a shimmer brush. But having an all-in-one, y'all, this is amazeballs. It is very reminiscent of the Refa #1 in my opinion, and probably some other Sonia G brushes, but this was really nice, and I know that this is going to be one that I reach for a ton because it can be used to just slap the product onto the lids and then blend it out without having to dirty another brush, which is what I love. And really liked this last brush as well, which is the T05. This is, again, perfect for if you want to just carve out your brows, or even if you make a mistake and you just want to take a little bit of concealer to clean things up, get a sharper wing, this is going to be perfect for it. I showed you guys the brushes that I typically use, and this is really unique because you can see how thin this is. So when it comes to that precision and how clean you want it to be, this is going to be an excellent option. The last brush is one that I'm going to have to figure out how I can give this away to somebody that probably is a makeup artist. And that is that mascara brush. And it's for the simple fact that I really have no use for it. Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense for me to use this to dip into a mascara to then apply it to my eyelashes. Doesn't make much sense to me, but for a makeup artist, I understand the importance of like that from a hygiene perspective. So I'm not going to even comment on that. But yeah, I'm so very excited and so very grateful and thankful that Esum Cosmetics sent me some of their new brushes. I'm also super happy that I have so many products from their line, and I absolutely love the Artistry series. I'm excited to see where they take it, how it continues to grow, what's next from the brand. If you are interested in me doing more Esum Cosmetics videos, or if you want more details about any of the products that I showed you guys today, whether it be the eyeshadow palettes or the blush or the bronzer palette, please let me know down in the comments below. I'd be happy to talk to you guys about it some more because I genuinely do love the brand. So if you want to just chat about it or have any questions, leave it down in the comments below. Let me know also like your thoughts on Esum as a brand. Have you used Esum before? Have you been curious and just like didn't know where to dive in? Leave all of that in the comments. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all so much more than you know, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.